Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Jared Brandon with Brandon Wound Pickups because Tony Baloney ain't here.
Yeah, we're missing Big Tony.
That's right.
He's got some family stuff he's working on, so we'll let him have a pass this time. But we are really thrilled that you are listening to our show, the Guitar Knobs podcast. And we've got, as per usual, a very special guest. He's a repeat guest, which we also like because, you know, we got some familiarity, and that tells us there's something new going on in that neck of the woods.
That's right.
So, hello, special guest. Who are you?
My name is Gabriel, and I own Echopark Guitars.
Hey.
All right. Gabriel Currie from Echopark Guitars. We're stoked to have you back.
Thanks, guys.
We had a double episode with you. It was you guys. We talked so much we had to make two.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was good.
And Eric was there.
Yeah, please say hello to Eric for us. He was a blast.
Yeah.
I will. Yeah, he's entertaining guest this evening. So
He's doing all right
Cool.
then.
yeah, he's good. He's we've had our challenges the last couple of years, but it's all good. You know.
Good. And for those of you wondering what the heck we're talking about, you can go look up on wherever you're listening to this show. Look up Echopark, and you'll get a twofer. You get 2 episodes with that. And the person that we're referencing is
Eric's been with me for about 7 years now. We brought him in to start designing and building amps with me, and we've got about 6 designs under our belt now. I've worked on a couple of new things this year, and one of those is actually out with Charlie Starr and Blackberry Smoke as we speak.
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to set up another one of these where we can get him on there. And, you know, I told Gabriel that we need to make our way out there at some point in time, maybe when some of this COVID nonsense settles down. But
That's right.
anyways, please say hello to our friend Eric for us.
Definitely.
So we just got a couple of quick announcements, and then we're going to get into what's going on in the music world this week, everybody. All right. We want a big thank you to
Road.
All right. Way to pick up where Tony left off, Jared.
I mean, it took me a split second, but I got it.
I
And
know.
Rode microphones are awesome.
Yes,
That's
they
what we
are.
use.
So we got the Rode Procaster microphone and the Rodecaster Pro,
That's
which is our little beautiful console. And we say a huge thank you to Rode for providing that top quality, outstanding audio equipment. We're lucky to have it. So thank you, Rode. Also, I mentioned before we were struggling with it. We got all of the episodes, I thought, on YouTube, and there were a whole batch of them missing. And the good people at Podbean were kind enough to say, yeah, all you got to do is do this. And guess what, everybody? Every single one of our episodes is now available to listen to on YouTube. And
Yay.
I say that with just being able to say, ta-da, they're all there. Now, that said, look, our earlier episodes, they're a little bit rough. That's all we didn't have the format down at the beginning that we do now. So if you go back that far and you're listening to them, just be kind and don't judge. We found our way.
Yeah. We had some other good people on a long time ago. So
Yeah, we sure did. So anyways, those are available. And then Jared, I think you got a question in the mail, didn't you?
I did, man. I got a nice little piece of mail today, and it was from our new executive producer, John Jackson.
That's right.
He says, "Hey, man, I got a 70s SG with a tarback humbucker, and if you guys are wondering what's a tarback humbucker, man, it's Gibson used epoxy back in the 70s, and they filled up their pickups with epoxy, and it got rock hard, and you can't get in to look at any of the technology of the pickup or anything like that. And so I believe they were doing some new stuff, and
Like gooping pedals then, right?
Yeah, so you can never know what's up with all. I mean, I know how to dig into it and get them out now, but it's a really big pain in the butt. Anyhow, that's what tarback is, and it's not really tar. It's just really hard black epoxy.
Okay.
And so anyway, and that's not really having to do much with the question today. I just wanted to be informative.
Thank you.
But he said long ago someone removed the screws, the pull screws, which are the 6 adjustable pull screws from the top of the pickup. And I've heard that this was a bit of the thing of the 70s, and which personally I was just a baby, but what they were trying to achieve, and did it work? So he's asking me, what were they trying to achieve and did it work? And the pickup he has has been without screws for decades. And
we're talking about the top screws, right? Not the screws that hold the thing in.
The top, right. You don't want to take those out or else it'll just fall off. But no, the actual pickup, the magnetized screws, there's 6 of them. They go on a humbucker and they go under the strings.
Right.
On a standard humbucker. And he doesn't want to mess with it, I guess, because I guess he likes it. And he asked me what I think. Well, this is what I know. It's an incomplete pickup, and you're not getting the full tone of the pickup. You're getting one side, and it's probably kind of a much darker sound than it could be because you don't have the other coil activated with steel slugs, which are in the form of screws that are directly under the strings. Right. Is it still humbucking? Yes, it is. But it's probably a little darker than what it could be.
So that's something that I've heard as a mod for, like, if you have a neck pickup that sounds maybe muddy or just muddy, I guess you could say, or too fat or something like that you can take those screws out and it will essentially brighten up the pickup.
Well, it'll be less fat.
Yeah.
And yeah, it won't.
Not brighten it. Maybe that's not the word, but like you said, less fat.
It's not as full. It's not as full. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound complete. And to my ears, it'll sound incomplete. And I'll say, what's wrong with this thing? It's missing the screws.
Right.
But, to each their own. If they
like the sound, leave them out.
They like the sound. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But he could always put some new ones in and it'll be like new. It's not going to harm anything.
Yeah, but don't put wood screws in.
No, they won't work.
You got it. Well, actually, Gabriel's probably found out a way to make wood screws work in those things. But
right.
Well, that was a great question. We really appreciate him sending that in. So thank you so much. And if you guys have other questions like that, we do get them. If we like them, we'll read it. We'll read it out and try to answer it for you as best we can. We certainly don't know everything, but we'll give it a good old swing. And fortunately, I definitely don't know most of the stuff, but between Tony and Jared and whomever our guest is, and Gabriel in this case, we can usually get most of the stuff answered. So they know an awful lot. So there you have it. All right, let's fast talk about what's going on in our music world this week. We're going to start with Jared, and then we'll head on over to Gabriel real quick.
So I've got a Marshall amp, and everybody knows I have a couple of Marshall amps. And the one I'm going to talk about today is a 1973 JMP 100 watt. And it was modded. So if you plug it in on the top left input, it's a clean, nice, good, clean sound, like a traditional, like it's supposed to sound. And then if you plug it in on the bottom jack, right directly under it, it's like it sounds like it has 3 gain stages on it. It sounds like a modded slash amp, and it's just fantastic. And the other day I had it plugged into that modded, and I had this weird hiss, and it was as if I had 3 different preamps turned up all the way, but the guitar was turned down all the way. So you had all this hiss, and I didn't know what it was. And then some time went on, and the hiss went away. And I don't know if that was in the amp or if it were in a pedal of mine or some sort of, I don't know why it happened, and I don't know if I want to try to find out why.
Did you try playing it without your pedal board?
Yeah.
Did it still hiss?
Oh, no. I didn't. At that moment, I didn't try
to
play it without the pedal board. I wish I would have, man, because I wish I would have, because all this time went by, and so I don't know how I came up with all that hiss, and I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm just hoping it was not the amp, because now the amp works awesome.
Yeah, it could have been a power surge or something like
that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, it could have been like a power surge, or maybe a grounding connection in your pedal board or something like that. Were you practicing your Angus Young or Pete Townsend?
Kind of, yeah. Both at the same time, yeah.
Because in those instances,
you're right.
Stuff like that can happen. You can trip over stuff and knock stuff about, and make a little.
Especially with my big feet, man.
For sure.
You know what they say.
Yeah.
He's got big socks. You'll have to, if that happens again, you have to bring it back up, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit more.
You'll have to talk to Eric about that. Actually, he knows all about old Marshalls. He's a old Marshall fanatic from the old Marshall days. So
I'd have to have him take a look at it one of these days, man.
Yeah,
he would be happy to undo that mod for you, because that is okay.
Well, go ahead, Gabriel. What were you saying?
Oh, I was just saying, we kind of we come from the school of like purity. So like all of our Marshalls and boxes and silver tones and whatever else we have laying around is pretty straight up stock. We try to kind of reverse engineer all our stuff anyways. So we like to keep it pretty stock,
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, I've got all my other Marshalls are just bone stock, untouched. I've got some nice, clean vintage ones that I'll never mod, but this one came mod, and it sounds so good. It's like, I never want to lose this sound.
That's the one you got at the guitar show, right?
Yeah, I got it from the guy you used to play around Cleveland.
81, I think, if I recall correctly.
I bought, that was a cab, but I bought a 73, and I bought two 1977 JMPs as well.
That's right.
So 3 amps total. Yeah.
Yeah, the later 70s JMPs are just amazing. I mean, that's Angus Young,
Yeah.
To the bone. That's like Power Rage era AC/DC.
Pretty much JCM 800s, the late 70s go right into the
definitely the predecessors for sure.
Cool, man. Gabriel, how about you? What's going on in your music? I can't even say that. Your music world.
Oh, my music world. Actually, in my music world, nothing. But in a bunch of my friends' music world, a lot of stuff. There's actually we saw our friends Blackbird Smoke at a drive-in gig in Pittsburgh last weekend. We drove down to Pittsburgh to see them, and Charlie got a new toy or two actually.
Cool.
And it was interesting to be out and about again and to see that kind of just to mingle with friends and to hear live music again in an interesting setting. And we had a great time. I was talking to, actually, Jackson Brown called me yesterday, just kind of out of the blue, and he's kind of like an uncle to me. My dad and him go back a ways to like the 60s in Highland Park in Los Angeles, where I grew up. And we were just talking. He was driving back from Phoenix. He was I guess his son had a new child, so he's a new granddad. And we were talking about the rigors of this new stage of life that's upon us all, and how we're kind of all getting through it, and what the plan is to forge ahead with live music, and taking precautions, and being, he was struck with COVID early on.
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, because he did a big gig in New York, like right around February or March, and he was, I think, one of the first artists to contract it early on, and so he rested and got over it. But he's doing well. He's being well, and he's gotten over it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we were just reminiscing and just kind of making plans to do new stuff. He's got a new album coming out. Um, Actually, it's done already, so they're just kind of trying to plan, how to release it. And we were just discussing, what the new normal is in the music world, and what that's going to look like for guys like him, that are used to playing large venues and traveling in big buses and things like that, and how that's going to go down. Because I think last night there was a gig. I think there was the Ryman Theater. Blackbird Smoke did a thing with a couple of guys out there, and they did like a podcast or a live stream, I believe it was. And it was interesting. I got a chance to see a little bit of it, and it's definitely weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's weird. It's strange. It's like watching PBS telethon kind of thing or something. I don't know.
Or a
It just seems weird.
I also went to a drive-in presentation, and it was a live show, and it was like going to the movie, except for the guy was there and he was just on the big screen.
Yeah,
that's basically what it was. I mean, he was in a little tent, and you kind of saw where he was in a little tent live, but his face was on the screen and he had effects behind it. Mark Rabule is his name. Yeah, he's not a guitar guy. So anyway, Mark Rabule, he's actually a loop god. Yeah.
Oh, looper. Yeah, these guys had like a semi truck with a fold out stage and the whole backdrop and the PA system and the whole. It was pretty complete. It looked like a normal gig, except there was a barricade about 30 feet out, and everybody was just tailgating.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool in a weird way, and I kind of liked it because there was nobody lingering around, the people that I'm normally, hanging out with, and so it was nice to kind of have that intimacy with friends and that kind of thing. But it was. I mean, everybody was well behaved. There wasn't any ruckus, rowdiness or anything like that, and it was cool. So
nice.
Just different, but it was definitely, interesting to check out. So, but
right on. Well, in my music world,
what about you, Todd?
I had a lot going on. I'm not going to get into all of it, and I'll save it for maybe future ones, because it'll still be my music world moving then. But I was experiencing. I was actually a little bit scared because I was having terrible ringing in my ears, and I was like, "Oh no!" And it was. I was really getting worried because I thought it was tinnitus, also called tinnitus. Apparently, the correct pronunciation is tinnitus, but which is a permanent ringing in your ears. And I think there's several musicians that suffer from that. Actually, I can't imagine having to live with it because it just never stops. And I was getting pretty worried. What was interesting is I would it would go from one ear and then it would jump over to the other, and I was like, "What the heck is this?" And I've been pretty careful about not punishing my ears, but everybody's got a different threshold. Went in and I saw my doctor because I was like, "I'm a little bit worried about this. I don't want this to be permanent. Please say it's not permanent." And he said, "You said it. You got it in one ear and then the other?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, that sounds more like you've you've got some sinus stuff going on, you probably are just experiencing allergies. Here's some nasal spray, and it's like, bing, cleared. Ha ha. So, escaped that one, at least for now. So if you are experiencing ringing in your ears, you may only be suffering from allergies, and it'd be worth talking to your doctor about.
There you go. That's very musical.
Yeah, because it's you got to protect those ears, people. I know it's so cool to hear the rock and roll blasting. There's nothing better than just hearing a guitar ripping through a super loud amp. I mean, there just isn't. But don't do it at the cost of you going mad later with ringing in your ears. So be mindful, people.
And my father's got that really badly probably from me, you know.
Yeah.
and my Marshall's growing up as a young man in Los Angeles, you know. He was a big fan of the loud stuff, you know.
Yeah. It's so hard not to, especially if you're trying to like hone in on a special tone and you're going, well, if I turn it down and if you turn the amp down, you're not getting the juice. If you don't have the juice, you got to rely on the pedals to help with more of that juice. Now, that's cool if you're in your room in your basement and you can get that dirt that you're seeking potentially, if that is in fact what you're trying to do. But as soon as you go to a show and you jump up, a couple clicks on your volume, that shifts the gain and the power that your amp is producing, which is going to, that hitting the drive pedals. Now it's going to sound even more drivey, and that may not be what you want to do. So it's kind of hard. It's tricky business. But anyways, hey, we want to say a big fat thank you to John Finnell, because this is where we're doing the podcast. At least I am, while Tony and Jared are safely at their homes avoiding the COVIDs. John has been very helpful in keeping our studio-ness, whatever this is, afloat. And he is exemplary at honing in on awesome guitar tone. He's done that for me, for my own personal band, and many, many bands around here and elsewhere. He travels to record too. He's a guitar player, so he tries to understand what you want, not impose what he wants. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can hit johnfintel.com, hit him up, and we're at relayrecording.com here. So thanks, John. All right, Gabriel Currie of Echopark Guitars. What's going on? What do you got new? What's happening?
Tell us stuff.
Oh, stuff. We've been kind of working on a bunch of new designs, a bunch of new marketing stuff, a ton of like video content actually, which
awesome.
is something rare for me, like official stuff. I had this epiphany a while back and thought, well, I don't like doing like video stuff. I hate like being on camera. I don't like being the spokesman for my thing. I just don't. I never have. And so I was kind of not really looking, but just kind of, thinking about it. And one of the cats that I've been working with over the last few years with a car, I finally got the thing, and the dude's kid, his name is Cody, came up to Detroit from Pittsburgh, and we got to hanging out. And the guy's just a phenomenal player and just the nicest guy, and just a young, affable. He's actually a producer down in Pittsburgh, and we got to talk, and I thought, wow, this guy's really got a great handle on this whole kind of playing thing, and he's got a really nice personality, and so I hit him up and said, hey, would you be into like maybe helping me do some content? And he said, sure, and we wound up doing a thing where we started interviewing guys that I've worked with over the years, and via Zoom, and him doing some demos and some tutorials and some lessons and some, just interesting things like introducing beats into a mix using old amps and going through, doing loopers and that kind of thing, but more about the art of making music, where it comes from, the inspirations, and how to, just technical stuff as well, but more about the heart of it.
That's cool.
And it's really amazing. So we got to actually, I called my friend Jack Douglas a couple of weeks ago. I said, I got this idea. And he said, yeah, let's do it. So we did a Zoom meeting with him. It wound up being a 2.5-hour interview that we'll be, we're editing right now. And then the next guy was you, JBD. And then we've got David Catching, we've got Troy Van Leeuwen, we've got Charlie Starr, we've got Raul Pacheco. Hopefully we're going to get Don Was and Jeff Bass, and just a bunch of cats that really have a lot of road time when they've dealt with their specific, the jobs that they do in this industry. I kind of wanted to get to not just shred videos or how, none of that stuff. I don't even want to talk about Echopark Guitars necessarily. It's about the use and inspiration behind making music and crafting, with these tools that we provide. And so that's going really well.
That sounds fantastic, man. I would love to sit there and watch that. That sounds like just a really great concept. And fortunately, for those who are not familiar with Gabriel and Echopark guitars, you've probably seen them in the hands of some of your favorite players. You just named a couple of them. But just a little bit of background before we keep going. Gabriel, can you give everybody just sort of the overview of what you do and where you do it and who you do it for?
Sure, thanks. I handcraft guitars, and we do amplifiers and effect pedals as well. But we've been doing it for about 10 years now. Actually, our 10-year anniversary was a couple of months ago. And
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. We survived.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But when I started doing guitars in the 80s and early 80s, I started just kind of like everybody else, just kind of tearing them apart and putting them back together, and one thing led to another, and I wound up here. But over the last few years, I've really tried to create stuff out of unique timbers, old timbers primarily, and just kind of, everything's already been done. So really where I kind of wanted to land with my thing was more kind of an alchemist, in terms of combining different woods and different pickup combinations and stuff like that, and just trying to make unique sounding and looking and feeling instruments more than anything. And so that's kind of across the board what we do with everything. We kind of just take the palette of vintage stuff and vintage inspired kind of stuff and put a new stamp on it. Everything that I own in terms of collection or stuff that I like to play is pretty much vintage stuff. So it all kind of comes from that DNA.
Yeah. Well, and just if you are listening to this and you're like, this sounds like a really intriguing story, let me hear more. That's where you can go check out those first 2 episodes, because we go deep into where you started. I mean, the full-blown origin story, which is really fantastic to hear. So I highly encourage everybody to go check those out. Now, you mentioned that everything's been done, which I guess you could argue that point. But you put a specific kind of thing on the things that have quote unquote been done before that I do believe make them very unique still. And I don't think your guitars really, some of them look familiar, but they definitely have a thing of their own. And, I would say, I think we talked about this before, but they have kind of an old soul built into them. They don't, you don't go in for the full like relic-y thing, but they just feel like they got something else in there.
Yeah, I mean, when I started building, it was just, there wasn't a whole lot, to kind of draw from in terms of like, I guess Ivan, as it just started really getting crazy with the and Jackson, with the newer kind of stuff back in the 80s. But I always liked Supros and Airlines, that kind of stuff. And I always wanted those to play a lot better than they did. I always, you pick up an old like a Ventures model Mose, right? And you want it to be, you want it to be nicer and play better and sound better and behave better, and they just never did. There was always just things about those styles of guitars that kind of fell away, and it was kind of disappointing because that's most of the stuff that I could like afford. Most of us wound up kind of leaning on, but I really, as I grew older and started thinking about like what I wanted to do when I grew up, I thought, well, it'd be nice to take this idea, these kind of like, there was a cat named Exner back in the 40s that worked for Chrysler, and he was a designer, and he's the guy that's responsible for the big shark fins on the Cadillacs and all that kind of stuff. He was responsible for, he was, a cat. And I wound up reading up on him at some point in my youth and really kind of gravitating towards that style, and really looking at and appreciating just the imagination and the time it takes to kind of, craft something with lines that really are sexy, for lack of a better way to put it. And I didn't see that a lot in guitars. I saw like, different kind of two-dimensional stuff, and there's always something sexy about a carved top or whatever, but like just the waist and all that, of course, it's derived from the female body, but I kind of wanted to accentuate other aspects of the two-dimensional design and get it to be more three-dimensional, and I was always a big fan of like Japanese artwork and wabi sabi, the philosophy behind that, which is basically everything the most perfect things have imperfections in them, and like my dad was a painter and a potter, and so I kind of grew up in a beatnik sort of household, and I never really wanted to do anything CNC perfect. I always thought that was cheating, to some degree. And
you want to have some, some character, like tiny little imperfections. I think it's kind of like a live song. Listening to the record's great, but you're going to listen to the same version over and over and over again.
Yeah,
but instead, you'd rather go to a concert and hear it just a little bit different.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having a set of palettes that you work from, and being able to kind of mix and match as you go along, and that's something that I kind of have always done freely. And a couple of years ago, before we left LA, I started putting together the designs of what I call the Direct Tone series, which is DT series for short, and they're more kind of stamped out kind of versions of what I've done, and more affordable, that kind of thing. And I like them, but I really derive a lot of pleasure from crafting and sculpting lines and being free to kind of combine different pickups and different woods and different fretboards and different, other accoutrements, if you will, hardware and tremolos and that kind of thing, and experimenting with nut materials and different fret sizes and shapes and, radiuses and all that kind of stuff. And always trying to kind of craft something that's complementary to an individual. I recently sent a guitar to Richard Fortas, and it's something that I had been wanting to do for a long time, and I've just started building the thing, and I thought, oftentimes I'll build something, and in the course of building it, I'll think, who is the person that would really, that this fits,
That's cool.
Who does this belong to, really? And I had built a flying V for him a couple of years ago, and so we remained friends and all that kind of stuff. And he's just a sweetheart of a guy and just a brilliant player, brilliant musician, period. And I called him up and said, hey, I got this thing. You want to check it out? And so I sent him some pictures, and he's like, I could hear his jaw dropping, It was great. So
well,
he's got that.
That guitar in particular, that's when you called me up, we started talking about that one immediately, because that same guitar, like when you posted a picture, I think I might have actually said, my comment might have been sound of jaw hitting floor, something along those lines. I think I said,
Yeah, right.
And when we were talking, and I just want to hang here a little bit more because I think that your guitars deserve this, is that we talked about how, like, when you see your, think about your favorite rock star or whatever, or like, Keith Richards, or somebody from any one of the guys from Queens of Stone Age, or whomever it might be, and they have a look that they own that seems so totally natural, and it's all just kind of hodgepodge, but they figure it out and they're not afraid if things technically don't match or don't go together or something like that, right? And it works. And if you tried to manufacture that or tried to dress somebody up for that occasion, you can just tell that it's not authentic, and it feels off or not, or just wrong. Many of the guitars that you build have that extra inherent panache that lets you own that without it being forced.
Yeah, idiosyncratic. I mean, that's one way to put it. Like I said before, it's all kind of been done before, so I try to do stuff that hasn't been done before, while just making a good guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much it. Neck shapes are really important to me. How the thing is crafted is really important to me. The glues are really important to me. All the little things are just very important. It's devil's in the details. So
yeah.
And that said, it's not easy for everybody to get behind it. There's a lot of people that are used to the cookie cutter, produced method of stuff that's available on the marketplace, and they want the same steak every night, cooked the same way at the same restaurant, or they want the same guitar that looks the same way in the catalog. Like, there's a certain expectation when it comes to commercial products that we've been so we've been so conditioned to want the same thing all the time, every day, the same way. And I loathe that mentality. I can't. So I've had problems with people in the past because of that, and hey, it's par for the course. It's you can't please everybody. Not everybody's going to get what I do, and I don't expect anybody really to understand me or any of that stuff.
I totally get it. It's like Todd in the Stratocaster. He just, he doesn't like that. And that Why is that, Todd? Is it
Well, partially, okay, there's two things, and I've touched on this before, and I won't dwell. Number one is because I feel like I've seen it too much, and so
Right.
it doesn't interest me. And I'm not piggybacking on what Gabriel just said. I've said that before, and it doesn't hold my interest at all. And when I hold it and I try to play it, it is so not the way that it's not the right tool for me. It just isn't. The type how I play and what that is don't work together. It's like milk and onions, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought of that, but I don't ever want to have those two things together. So that's just me. That doesn't mean Strats aren't awesome and people shouldn't. I'm definitely not saying that. It's just me, my own self personally. And it's just become a running joke on the show.
There's millions and millions of different colors and styles of Strats, but it's, what Gabriel does. I like how he has history with Fender, but yet now he's, Gabriel, you've like grown into your own design,
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's, that kind of thing. When I was, working there and for Leo, that time, I kind of knew like, okay, this is going to end, pretty quickly probably, because he was at his last stages of existence. But every day was like, I was milking every shaving of sawdust, like it was just, and for a long time, for like maybe 10 years after that, I kind of carried it around with me. I literally had and have and own a 1968 Trisonic R&D prototype that I found in his office the day that I left. The guys there that own the place, the McLarens, allowed me to go into his office and kind of have a moment. And when I found up in this little storage space an old prototype body and a set of templates, and at the time I put them in a case, brought them down, said, "Hey, I found this junk in there. You mind if I?" And so they let me have it. Away I went. But
and you can hear that full story again on the previous episode.
Yes, and it is, and it's the truth. Yeah. So that was about 3 years. That was about 3 years. And since then, I've just done so many different things with so many different people, and I mean, not knocking any of that. That is our heritage and our tradition and the foundation in which we stand. That and the Orville traditions, but I kind of wanted to explore other things, mm-hmm. and kind of, it's sort of like writing songs in a weird way, it's sort of like producing music, you want to try everything basically, and I kind of use guitar making as my canvas in a weird way, Yeah. I've tried to like, okay, I'm just going to do 6 models, and then it's 12, and then it's like 18, and I'm super like, unsatisfied with things, not disappointed or anything like that. But once I finish something and I've made like 3 or 4 of them, I'm kind of done with it and I want to do something else. So it's really hard for me to like hit repeat a lot. So I'll do a lot of things that are like.
What have you been experimenting with most, do you think, if you can narrow it down to like maybe, is it finishes? Is it headstock shapes, neck shapes, hardware? Is there something that you've kind of gravitated towards lately that you've been pushing further?
Lately it's been 2 things. It's been when we moved to Detroit, I ran into a cat that that had a stash of old wood, and this wood was pulled out of Lake Lake. I think it was Lake Michigan over in Muskegon, and these were logs that had sunk into the bottom of the river in the 1860s when they were cut down and logged. Prior to that, from like the beginning of the 1800s up until the mid 1800s, it was a logging boom because they had to build out for after the Chicago fire and the San Francisco fire, and building out the railroads and all the shanty towns for the gold minings and the gold rush and all that kind of stuff. And this place in particular, northern Michigan, was one of the primary sources for white pine, and that was considered the premium building timber other than Douglas fir.
Because it's so straight?
Because it's the tensile strength on it was so, it was lightweight, very hard, and very easy to work. Kind of like Douglas fir in a sense. Anyways, I kind of knew about this history. One of the reasons that we moved to Detroit in particular was because I knew that there was a source of raw materials here that was abundant, that I wanted to transition out of using rainforest materials at some point and get into using, more North American hardwoods primarily. And so I just happened to, one of the architects that I started working with initially here on my building, his partner is a wood whore, basically, and a young guy that doesn't really play guitar or anything like that, that had a 80,000 square foot building packed to the rafters with old logs and milled woods and just crazy, all kinds of stuff. And so we became fast friends, of course. And he took me down to where he got the stuff, and it's actually the Charles Hackley Mill in Muskegon, which is on the west side of the state, and it is one of the oldest mills, one of the oldest and the largest commercial mills in the state, and in the country back then for sure. But so I started thinking about it and started wondering what this stuff actually sounded like, and so we sliced up a few logs, a few trees actually, and put them in the kiln for a couple of years. And last year I pulled them out and started milling them for bodies and stuff. And the first one that I made, the second that I knocked on it, I could feel the thing just ring like a bell. And I thought, wow,
that's awesome.
Okay. Yeah, it just, and I called my wife and I said, you got to come over and listen to this. And she's like, yeah, whatever, you're nuts.
Right.
And then I think I called a few other people, one of which was Charlie, another of which was, I think Joe Perry, a couple other guys, and just kind of started talking about this stuff. And then I made the first one like last year, and we did a kind of a documentary film about it. And we're working on recutting it now, but I thought, wow, this is something unique and interesting that really nobody's tapping into right now because they can't, because it's here, and there's still this like kind of dark cloud over Detroit, and people are still kind of afraid of it, which I think is great, so I started, buying this stuff up as much as I could, and we actually have a dredge up in northern Michigan right now that we've hired to start pulling the trees out of the
That's awesome.
out of the water. So I am wanting to just kind of move in that direction. I just sent off one to a pretty well-known guy that I think I don't want to say his name just yet, but it's in New York. He lives in Connecticut, and they're working on a new project right now. Probably going to be one of their last. But my friend Matt Sweeney called me last February and said, "Hey, I need to buy this guy a gift because he did a show for me," and it was like Matt Sweeney, he did a show called Guitar Moves on Noisy, and one of his guests is the recipient of this piece, and
well, he was also playing bass with on Iggy Pop's last album with Josh Homme, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of the desert session stuff with Josh. He's a wonderful musician all the way around. He's got great faculty in guitar, bass, drums. He's an arranger. He does beats, all kinds of stuff. But he works with like primarily African musicians and does a lot of world music in New York. And he's worked with like Patti Smith and Bob Dylan. And he's one of these guys that you never hear about ever, but he's all over the place.
While you're speaking on him real quickly, I would advise anybody who likes to watch great guitar content on YouTube, Guitar Moves. I think specifically the one, it's a fantastic episode. It's a short series. He's meeting up with Keith Richards, and he's asking him about his, why he doesn't use his low E, and Keith Richards says, "Well, give me your guitar and I'll show you." And he pulls it off, and you could just see, like, Matt's just looking at him like, "This is fantastic. I can't believe like Keith Richards is destroying my guitar, and this is worth it, and it's amazing." It's good stuff. So, anyways, that's the Matt Sweeney podcast, whatever that is. Back to Gabriel. When we were talking on the phone earlier, you said, "I got a lot of new stuff going on," and I know that you mentioned some of it. As far as like the video series that you're working on, which sounds awesome. What else do you got going on?
We designed some new pedals this year. One is a new analog delay. It's really simple, very simple pedal, but it just sounds like the front end of a tape delay. It sounds it's amazing. We just came out with a new dual overdrive pedal that's one side is more of a clean kind of natural drive, and the other is just kind of like right in your face kind of thing, and you can combine either or both together. We designed a new amplifier this year called the Clearance 25, and the really amazing thing about that is that the Clearance 25.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah. Clap. The Clearance 25. Solid state rectified, so it stays really tight. It doesn't get very spongy, which in a smaller, lower wattage amps, I always kind of didn't like that. I always wanted the sound kind of bold and kind of tight and robust, and so I wanted to kind of combine some of the stuff that was going on in the Brown era with some of the blackface era stuff. And so we came up with a 2-6v6 design that just volume and tone, and just really compact and just really does the job well.
So it's a 25 watt.
It's a 25 watt combo, and it's got
I like that.
It's got nice headroom. It doesn't really get too sizzly, but it does. If you want to live in ZZ Top land, it does that for sure really well. It does like really, kind of with a little overdrive in front of it, you can get Gary Moore and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really, really nice little tone machine. Charlie Starr actually has the first one out on the road right now with the guys. We started doing hardwood cabinets too. So we're doing cabinets made from African walnut. Very beautiful. Kind of the same design that I've always done, with the chamfered front edge. The Baltic Bridge baffles. Same speakers. We're using the WGS 75 watt Alnicos that are custom designed and built for us, and they're the best Alnico speaker I've ever heard, and we've heard a lot of speakers.
Yeah. What does the hardwood get you in your cabinets? It
actually, Tolex and plywood, they're great for traveling pieces. They hold up to the rigors of the road, etc., etc. I wanted to do something that was unique. Again, I wanted to do something, since I have a lot of wood, a lot of cool, beautiful, exotic stuff that I just have. I figured I'd have a go at making a few things out of it, and it just turned out to be sonically superior as well. The
Good
designs,
for the studio and and just a nice house piece. Yeah.
yeah, great for all that stuff. I mean, obviously beautiful to look at and all that kind of stuff. But we finished in a lacquer as well, so they kind of have a tone. It sounds stupid, but I know. But the boxes and the cells are resonant. I wanted to do something like an old hi-fi kind of speaker cabinet,
Sure.
where the bass response and the mid-range and all the frequencies were present without anything being sacrificed. Tolex eats up a lot of the resonance. When you cover an amp with anything, it kind of dampens it, so it's not as lively. It's not as percussive. And I wanted something that really sounded alive. And so we started. We made a few with the little low watt guys, the little 5-watt producer amps that we do, which have a little 8-inch speaker and they're 5 watts, and they just sounded like cannons. They're just amazing. It was like a champ on steroids, kind of thing. So once we started building them like that, I just thought, well, I'm just going to let all the Tolex stuff kind of run out. We're just going to do this from now on,
Cool.
Cool. Limited edition.
Well, yeah. I mean, the limited edition, but I think we're going to continue making them the way they are. I think we may experiment with other wood types, but essentially we're just going to make wood boxes from now on for the amps.
Cool.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of like it's kind of like doing pickups. I'm always. Jared knows. I'm always searching, always listening and always wanting to pair up different things so that there's a definite range of voices that the instrument itself can produce.
Right.
Aside from just the organic, wood itself and the hardware and the nut and all that kind of stuff doing what they do, using combinations of woods like Carina and Koa and Brazilian or ebony or whatever for bodies and necks and so forth, and chambering and whatnot. All those things are just the guitar itself, and they have the aspects of the different things, the different ways that you can kind of not just tweak it but really refine it, with magnets and different wire and winds, and whether you pot the pickups or not pot them, and all those different things, and it's such a wonderful. It's great to have people that you can work with that really understand what you're trying to get and are willing to take the time and experiment with you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that I really enjoy doing with pickups.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun just doing the, just finding it, just the search and the hunt alone is exciting and fun to do. So, yeah, I mean, it's been, I don't know, a few years that we've been working together, and it never gets old because we're always coming up with a new idea and a new combination.
Yeah, that's the stuff, man. Really being able to take the foundation and tweak it. Being able to take the stuff that we already know is proven and that sounds good, and try this magnet or try this amount of winds or try this, just try different stuff, and just, because what's the point of just doing the same old thing? I don't understand that. It's not very inspiring to just do the status quo.
On that note, I want to know from you, because I, you know, in speaking with you several times now, I know that you are a person who is driven by, the thing that you can't really put your finger on, and that is inspiration.
Yeah.
Where are you? Is there something that kind of is in your craw right now, inspiration wise? Is there something that's driving, or is the fuel for that inspiration right now?
Like I said before, there was this cat in the 40s. His name was Exner, and really revolutionized, the auto industry in terms of design and features and stuff like that. And what's really been inspiring me lately is those kinds of lines. And so I've been actually kind of contemplating just doing a select kind of collection of models that are called the Exner models. And Troy's already got one. Joe's got one. Our friend Richard Fortas has one. There's a few other guys. Brendan Benson has one.
Troy Van Leeuwen and Joe Perry, just in case anybody hasn't picked up on that yet. But go ahead.
Who?
Yeah. So I started doing these kind of like German carve, kind of clawfoot looking, stylings, and thought, well, you know what? Instead of doing like the bell carved top kind of thing, which there's plenty of just amazing luthiers out there that just kind of blow me away all the time. It's every day a new one's cropping up. But I wanted to do something that was very much 1940s, 1930s kind of lines. I really love the Art Deco period in this country, and living in Detroit now, you get to see, get to enjoy all that actual architecture downtown. And so I've actually had the good fortune to meet Ted McCarty's grandson. Actually, he's here, and he's got a bunch of paperwork and a bunch of design books and all kinds of stuff from those guys. So that's kind of what I've been doing the last year, is just compiling these designs. And so then the next couple of artists that I'll be working with on the Exner series stuff is JD Simo and Sarah Lipstate.
Oh, yeah.
If you're familiar with those guys.
Yeah.
Sarah's in Iggy's band, and she's just a great player and just a wonderful person. And JD, we all know JD. He is an American badass, and so he commissioned me to design something for him last year, and so it's so those two will round out the collection, and I'll probably start. I'm building a new website. That'll be a lot easier to kind of go through all this stuff, and it'll highlight the different artists and videos and all that kind of stuff. So,
do you think there will be I don't want to say a consumer level, but because I think that has baggage, that word has baggage, but you're talking about building something for premier players. Will the sum of those guitars, do you think that'll yield something for the non-premier player that people can buy in the future?
Yeah. I started this thing called the DT series upon leaving Los Angeles, and it started with the Echo Squire and the Echo Caster, kind of variants of the Clarence model, more kind of stripped down kind of player versions. The only difference between them and the handmade stuff is that the bodies are CNC made. Everything else is handmade. I'm still using lacquer. There's a bit of a price difference between the two lines, but you can get those right now. I mean, the Echo Squire the Echo Squire is like $1,400, I don't know if there's an American guitar manufactured by hand with lacquer and boutique pickups and all that stuff that's $1,400 anywhere. So, I mean, I'm sure, there's tons of import stuff, but this is all, kind of from here, and it's still got all
and you
the
can
same.
only get those on your website, right? Or directly from you, right?
Yeah, those are direct only. Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So don't go looking at Guitar Center for those, everybody.
No. Not knocking, commercial avenues of acquiring your goods, but I tend to be like, I like to go direct to the source when I'm getting anything, honestly, and there's a safety in that, and there's also, it's special to me. So I kind of want to extend that to other people, but again, some consumers just are consumers and they just don't understand that, and that's okay too. But I've always made custom stuff. We've always prided ourselves on being a small team that crafts, highly, sought after stuff, and we're really proud of it. So that whole. Yeah, the DT series, those are available on the website. There's about 5 different models. They range starting at $1,400, and I think they top out with all the options. And because there's a lot of options, you can get, there's different wood options, different pickup options, different, probably more options there should be for a standardized guitar that I tried to do, but I just couldn't see offering an instrument without having some variant in options, and so I wound up. They're probably the most customizable standard guitar available, I'd say, probably out there. But
and you get yourself an Echopark guitar. That doesn't suck.
There you go.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No, that's a good thing.
Well, Gabriel, we're just thrilled to death that you took even more time out of your life to share it with us and our listeners. It's always great talking with you, and we are huge fans of yours and are always eager to see whatever you got cooking in your shop. So thanks a lot for doing that with us, and make sure, hey, everybody, we're gonna hit this again later, but make sure you go check out Echopark, especially the Instagram. Echopark Guitars Instagram is great. That's where you just bring a napkin to wipe the drool off your face too. So we're I think. Wait, Jared, is that you?
Yeah, it is. I'm here, and ladies and gentlemen, it is time for that favorite little ditty that I sing, and it goes like this. Would you rather?
Ooh, delicious.
So you're walking down.
Yeah, I knew you couldn't do that in a full breath.
in Transylvania, and you happen to come upon the castle of Dr. Frankenstein, and good old Dr. Frankenstein is having a yard sale. So you're like, what the heck? So you walk up and you see 2 old dirty wood boxes that are sealed shut, and you ask to buy one of them, but Dr. Frankenstein says you can open them both, but you must buy one of the boxes or else.
Whoa.
So
this is
would
creepy.
you right? So this is scary and weird, and it's Dr. Frankenstein. You don't know what he's got in the boxes or what he's done to the objects in the boxes.
Something terrible and horrible for sure.
So you definitely want to open one of them. In box 1, it contains a vintage blonde Telecaster. Oh, with a Gretsch white Falcon neck and headstock.
What the?
Okay, or box 2. That's got a vintage Gretsch white Falcon body, and guess what it has for a neck? A Telecaster neck.
This is terrible. This is hideous.
He did the old switcheroo.
It's heinous. It's a crime against guitardom.
It's very Halloweenish.
Well, this is as scary as this is. We do have to choose. Let's see. Let's go, Gabriel. Of those two hideous, horrible abominations, which would you choose?
Oh, I'd choose the first one.
Oh,
the Telecaster body with the
Gretsch neck,
Gretsch White Falcon neck.
Yeah, sure. Why not? I mean, you know.
Yeah, I do know.
Why not? I like. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's all good. You know, whatever inspires you. You know.
Yeah. Well, this inspired Dr. Frankenstein to do something crazy.
Yeah, I like the one where like. Well, never mind. It doesn't matter. Forget it.
Well, you chose wisely for yourself, Jared. How about you?
I'm gonna do the opposite. I'm gonna go with the box number 2, which is 2, which contains a vintage Gretsch White Falcon body with a Telecaster neck. Because that's not gonna look as awkward as the other one. With the other one's got the long neck. The other one will have the long neck.
The scales are the same.
Well, the scales are the same, but the heel is a lot different because you've got a big giant body, right?
Yeah.
So you got that big neck heel, versus a little like insert Telecaster, because one's a bolt-on neck, which is a Telecaster, the other one, that's a set neck.
Yes, but he's sorted all that out.
Oh, of course he did.
In his sorted details.
I'm gonna, a Telecaster neck there's nothing like it. So the Telecaster neck, and you get the, the hollow body and the cool Filtertrons, and why the heck not? That's what I'm gonna do. I think good old Tony Baloney would choose that one too.
You think so?
I think he would, because the body with the electronics, and I think he'd go for that. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with, I think I'm going to choose number 1 as well. I think it would be less weird to play. And, I think that's what I'm going to do, because, while that headstock will be and neck and everything might look a little weird, I think it would still feel really solid. The bigger body with the little tiny headstock, I think it would just weird me out. So
check this out. There are old like 60s and 70s Fender acoustics with that like Stratocaster, with a Stratocaster headstock.
Sure. Yeah. Actually,
it looks weird.
Mark, our friend, has one of those.
Oh,
kind of weird. Anyways, well, that was a freaky thing that Dr. Frankenstein did with those 2 guitars. But we're happy that we got something to take home from that experience. So we need to thank a few people really quick, Gabriel, and then we'll see you through the outdoor if you can hang on a second. Jared.
Yes.
This is where Tony typically jumps in and steals the show and doesn't give the mic back.
And I'm going to steal it right now and let everybody know that if you really like the show and you want to support the show, we have, some really nice gift packs that we like to give to our Patreons. So head over to patreon.com / is it Guitar Knobs or
the Guitar Knobs?
I've heard it a million times. The Guitar Knobs. So patreon.com / the Guitar Knobs.
That's right.
And feel free to do whatever you think you want to give and whatever you think we deserve, or, we would love to have you a part of our family. We give out gift packs, like, shirts, buttons, keychains,
barefoot buttons, stickers,
all sorts of fun stuff. It's awesome.
Pedalboard flashlights and giveaways. We do a lot of giveaways. So
yes, we do, like pedals and pickups coming up here. So let me go down this beautiful long list of our executive producers that
well, Jared, what happens? What happens?
Well, yeah, you get to have your name read on the thing.
Good.
It's so weird not being prompted by Tony.
Well, we did it. We didn't forget.
I was like I almost got stuck, like broken. But yeah, let me read the executive producers. They give a little more, and we send out a little more something for them, and I'm gonna let you know who they are. Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Kearney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lanthrop, John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pentington, Richard Kendall, Levi Main, Ty Harmon, John Williams, Michael DeLucio, and our new executive producer, John Jackson.
That's right. Fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there more, Jared?
Absolutely. There's one more little special level. And these guys are the top tier givers, and they are highly appreciated. They love being in the family. We talk to these guys, and they wear a fez, a guitar knobs fez, and I believe they wear them while listening to the podcast.
That is required.
They are our grand poobahs. Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Zach Melton, and Tim Nowak. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
We love you.
Thank you all so very much. You keep our show going, the heart and soul of our show. So thank you. And you know what else is the heart and soul of our show is our guests. And we love having Gabriel on the show. We love talking to him, and we love his guitars and his amps and his pedals. Gabriel, where can people get stuff from you or check you out?
Yes, echoparkguitars.com, and my Instagram is Echopark Guitars on Instagram. We are going to be livening up our YouTube channel here shortly, so look for content there. As well, there's some other new things happening which I can't really talk about right now, but
awesome.
They will be happening soon, and that's all I can say.
All right, sounds good. Jared?
Cool. So if you need some awesome pick guards, go see good old Tony Dudzik, pick guardian. And he is an awesome pick guard guy. That's the best I can do, Tony. Sorry. If you need, no, seriously, he is. If you need pickups, go to brandonwallpickups.com, and there's lots of cool stuff on my website to look at. I have some limited edition type stuff for all the awesome cork sniffing vintage nerds out there that I love and I love to build for, actually. And rewinds are $30 a coil. Get a hold of me. I'm easy to get a hold of.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you've seen Jared, that's not exactly what you would first come to mind, but that was just kind of funny in my head. Anyways. So for me, you can send me an email, Todd@theguitarknobs.com. You can DM me on Instagram. I'm always active there. Shoot us a note. Send us your would you rather, like that little fantastic Frankenstein jabobber that we just came up with.
Love it.
And then also check us out on YouTube. I also want to say I'm going to be trying to do some more of the specifically the pedal demo stuff. I've gotten quite a few awesome pedals through the doors and want to share some of that out. So I'm going to be working on getting some of that content for everybody. In the meantime, Gabriel Currie, thank you so much for spending this much time with us.
It's an honor and a privilege, and I thank you very, very much for allowing me to babble on and babble on. So.
You bet, man. You bet.
It's a good time.
At some point in time, we're going to come up and hang out at the shop with you and come see you and Eric. But
yeah, we'll see the shop.
Much obliged.
Always, man. No, man, you guys are always welcome any time, you know.
Thank you, sir.
We're here. We're actually going to be moving the shop towards the end of November into the cold season downtown in Milwaukee Junction. We just got a 10,000 square foot unit down there that we'll be
that's all
taking over. So yeah,
that's fantastic.
So that's all we need. Yeah.
Cool. Well, all right, everybody. Tony Baloney, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well. We miss you. We'll have you on the next show. Have a great Guitar Week, everybody, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Later.
I wonder how many days I can go eating the same steak from the same restaurant, cooked the same way.
Hello.
Hi.
There you are. No, it's going to be long and painful. Saucy hands.
Why?
Because I was eating wing.
Ta-da!
Right
I did it! Yay!
Introducing.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.